Oh, there we go. Hey, everybody. How are you doing? I'm Scott Gazaneko, Frerix, and to my over here is...
Hi, I'm Lani. Here we are. We're vaccinated. We're fully vaxxed up, and for the first time in well over a year, we went to a movie theater.
And what better movie to see than the highest grossing anime film of all time.
Look it up. That's legit. Of all time so far.
Yep. So we saw the Demon Slayer movie, Mugen Train.
Kimetsu no Yaiba, Mugen Train. We saw the English dub.
Yeah.
Which I had not seen the dub before this. This was my first experience with the dub.
Really? I'd only actually seen a couple of episodes on Adult Swim. I watched the show mainly subbed. So when we were seeing it in theaters, I'm kind of a filthy, troglodyte, and I have trouble focusing on subtitles on the big screen. I'm sorry, I know, a lot of people are like, it's so easy. I have trouble doing it. I apologize. I don't judge anybody for needing to use it.
It's something you kind of have to be used to. I've seen a lot of foreign language films on the big screen. I was a reprehensible cinephile in my younger years. So I'd go out and I'd see, oh, this foreign picture's doing pretty well. I should go find an indie theater that's screening it. And I would do that, and 90% of the time come out, okay, I see what they were going for with that. But yeah, I'm kind of used to it on the big screen.
I don't think I could have seen Parasite if it had an English dub. I honestly don't think I could have done that.
No.
Because live action films, I can't do it. I can't do live action films with dubs. They never come off right. But when it comes to anime, I'm a lot more forgiving. Even though I will, I'll personally say, and this is not a knock against the dub actors, they do a very good job here. I prefer the sub of Demon Slayer, just because, those are the characters to me. It was hard for me to hear Bryce Papenbrook as Inosuke for a little while there, and not just because...
It sounds like I pointed this out as we were leaving, but as we're listening to Inosuke, I'm like, that just sounds like Teenage Billy from Billy and Mandy. He has this stuffy nose quality to him, and for the most part, he sounds very much like what they're doing in Japanese, but there's this weeby nerdy edge to it that I just can't shake, that doesn't let me take that silly character any seriously at all.
That being said, Bryce is a fantastic actor, and he's killing it. He's definitely giving it his all, and those fucking laughs, his laughter is insanely good. I was like, holy crap. And it's just the fucking best. But yeah, it was a little bit difficult because I was on the same wavelength as you when I was listening to it. I'm like, oh my god, it's like Richard Horvitz.
What's happening here? It didn't stop me from enjoying the movie in any stretch of the imagination. 99.9% of this dub is fantastic. Yeah. There are parts here and there where either through scripting translation and how certain intonations work in Japanese but don't in English, that it kind of comes across as stilted at times, but I think that's more due to the translation of Coming Across Seas than it does to the quality of the actors in the actual dub.
Yeah. I wasn't expecting us to talk about the dub up front and center, but you know what? That actually kind of gets that out of the way.
It clears the path, because that's the way we experience it, and this is my first experience with the dub.
I'm actually going to blow your mind, though, real quick.
Hmm?
I watched it in Japanese before we saw it in the theater.
You bitch.
Yeah, you know how?
I know that Sony had it on their store for a little while. You texted me about that. I'm like, okay, I'll check it out tomorrow. And by the time I went to look for it, they had already ripped it down off of the PlayStation Store, which, by the way, on the PlayStation 5, I don't think there's a way to directly buy movies. You could only do it on the PS4. It's weird.
Interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, Sony was like, oh, by the way, here's Demon Slayer early. Whoops, that was our bad. Took it down. But I got to watch it subbed. Oh, yeah.
Which is weird, because they're a big part of this production, aren't they? Or at least they have something to do with the licensing. I don't know.
I mean, Sony owns Funimation. Funimation technically owns license. It's a whole long thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. I grabbed it as soon as I possibly could, and then I went to go see it in theaters after they took away my copy and refunded me. So hey, they got their money. They got their money.
Which, first and foremost, I want to say, on a big screen, it's beautiful. It's gorgeous. It's bright. It's colorful. It is everything that you come to expect from Demon Slayer, but just taken up that next level. And it like, the visuals are fantastic. I can only think of a few effects where I'm like, that probably could have been better. Namely, when the train is demoning. But
oh yeah. So by the way, FYI, BT Dubs, JSYK, for all those tuning in, this is a spoilerific review.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to go light at the beginning, but they'll get more spoilery as we go.
Hey, guess what? There's demons on the train, in case you didn't know. Like, literally, so about 70% of this movie, 75% of this movie takes place on the train. And it's a great
I'd say about 60% of that takes place inside the characters' heads.
Yeah, so this, talking about the visuals real quick before we jump into the real meat, which is the story. I find Demon Slayer to be a fascinating show. UFO Table, or Ufotable, I'm not really sure which they actually are supposed to be called.
Their logo is a UFO, so...
Yeah, and a table, but I've been hearing a lot of people say Ufotable, so I don't know if, like, they want it to be UFO Table or Ufotable. I just don't know. But they are incredibly, like, the show proper, again, as you said, is gorgeous. A lot of the compositing, a lot of the and the one thing that I've noticed with the series is that it's very consistent with its art direction. Like, very rarely do characters go off model unintentionally. They have these really, really spectacular effects for a lot of, like, the water, the fire, etc. It's always really cool to watch. I do find myself a little bit distracted sometimes by the extra 3D effects that they put in here and there.
And those are the things that I don't think translated incredibly well to the big screen. They work a lot better on the small screen where you can't see the edge of where the hand-drawn stuff begins and the computer-animated stuff, ends. So
yeah, that part of that comes down to the fact that, for me personally, I prefer that if you ever use CG, if you ever use 3D effects in your anime, use it for non-organic creatures if you can. Because whenever you use it for something organic, it just automatically starts to bump up against that uncanny valley. I can absolutely accept that this train is largely CG, but when the characters are CG, when the monster is CG, it throws me out almost immediately. But it's they have a time, they have a budget, and it's kind of difficult for them to make all of that stuff work.
Especially in the year we just had.
Yeah, especially with, like, so the main monster in this, spoilers, is basically the train, being controlled by Enmu, which we saw.
Straight Final Fantasy VI, suplex that bitch.
You know what? If anybody could do it, Rengoku could.
Probably.
But yeah, he there's a lot going on with body horror there that could have looked really, really good, I feel like, if they hadn't gone the CG route, but instead kind of gave me hardcore flashbacks to Resident Evil, and not in the way I think they intended.
Like, the train eventually gets these, like, arms and tendrils growing out of it, but they look very circa, like, mid-2000s, kind of, like, bubbling out. Like, I'm not saying that it's, like, a garbage effect or anything, but it is definitely noticeable compared to the quality of the animation.
Yeah, and this is not to say that it wasn't still enjoyable, or that...
No, I enjoyed this film quite a bit. Like, if you just want a hands-down, flat recommend, no recommend, I recommend it. Like, it's good. It's refreshing for a lot of reasons, but only if you've seen the show.
Well, yeah, if you are a Demon Slayer fan, this is a must-watch for two reasons. One, it's a really good it's a good arc that they were able to condense into a film. Like, just the arc
Very
itself.
well.
Yeah. And also, it's an actual arc. It's part of the manga. Like, literally,
Which I love. Like, I want more of that. If you have a arc in your show that you feel like could be, 4 or 5 episodes, or you could make it a movie, make it a fucking movie. Because then I'm sitting there in the theater watching this thing, and there are stakes! The things that are happening matter! I'm not sitting there watching a One Piece movie like, okay, when are they gonna win? Oh, that looked cool.
Yeah.
Zoro.
No, I know what you mean. The One Piece movies are basically, even when they're canon, they're still not really interesting. Okay, they're still interesting, but they're not captivating in the same sense of, oh yeah, someone could die in this movie, and that it will actually affect the plot of the show.
It's something that always bugged me in especially in the Dragon Ball movies, where you have your get out of jail free card. You have the Dragon Balls. You can kill people in your fucking movie. Fucking do it.
Yeah.
Come on. Just leave something to my imagination.
Although it's actually Broly is canonically the next part of it. Funny enough. But so one thing that I do want to say about the 2D animation, and this is going to sound really controversial, I really do appreciate that there is such a consistency between animators, but I do sometimes feel like there's not a lot, I feel like there's a lack of creativity sometimes with the style. They've locked these animators in such a tight cage, you cannot deviate too much from the designs, from the rest of the other artists and animators, and it sometimes feels a little samey. Again, they're doing an amazing job. It looks gorgeous, but that's one of the problems I kind of found with Demon Slayer. On occasion, they'd really go all out and let the animators go a little bit crazy. Here, I didn't feel that as much.
Part of that comes back to the fact that you're locked into those old shonen anime tropes where you have their pre-established moves. So you have that pre-locked, this is what that move has to look like at the end of the day. So when they're doing something, you need that consistency moving forward. You're not going to see Inuyasha do a wind scar that doesn't look like the wind scar a billion other times. So when Tanjiro is doing his water breathing technique number 3, it's always going to look like technique number 3. And it's always going to have that cool, water animation along with it. And in this case, you get a lot of Kyojuro, I believe, Flame Dude?
Yeah, Kyojuro Rengoku.
Yeah, Kyojuro Rengoku. You get a lot of his flame techniques, and he's basically the centerpiece of this movie, and really, funny enough, although this movie's about the Demon Train, my favorite part of this movie was the last 15 minutes. It was, I don't want to say exactly what happens in those last 15 minutes for spoiler reasons, but it was the best part of this movie to me, both action-wise and story-wise.
Yeah, it's sort of fascinating like that. So to start off, Mugen Train, it leaves off exactly where the first season left off. I should also note, I am not a huge Demon Slayer fan. I don't dislike it by any on any metric, but I'm not super duper into this show. I've seen all of it. I also I should probably point out, have read a lot of this arc. So I kind of knew a lot of what I was getting into when I went into it.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you there on how I feel about Demon Slayer. I enjoy it, but then when I heard how unanimously popular it was, my first reaction was, why?
I know, right? It is sort of, to me, it is sort of strange, and I think part of it comes down to the fact that it's got a great visual style.
Yes.
Insanely good character designs. I cannot tell you, these character designs are insanely charming, and the patterns, the color design, goddamn. Mm-hmm. And also people kind of love the setting. In Japan, it's a very retro aesthetic of it's a lot of what made Inuyasha very culturally appealing.
I do really dig the setting, because you don't get a lot of anime that's set in that kind of just super pre-industrial revolution Japan, where you have actual technology and electricity in some of the cities, but everything else out in the wild still feels very feudal.
Yeah. It's kind of like you can imagine Korra taking place in this universe.
Exactly.
Somebody in the chat saying UFO Table doing the adaptation is a huge boost to its popularity. Yeah, I can absolutely see that. It is a good-looking show with an amazing theme song and some brilliant voice acting. I'm just saying, if you made me choose between this and Jujutsu Kaisen, I'd choose Jujutsu Kaisen 3 times before I'd watch this once. Oh yeah. Jujutsu Kaisen is doing everything. honestly, I'm not even gonna fucking lie. It is an amazing comparison when I think about it. I feel like Jujutsu Kaisen is doing a lot of what Demon Slayer is trying to do, but legitimately better. Which is, again, I feel like, you know what? I don't want to go down that road too much because
that's a preference thing.
Yeah.
But
I will say Demon Slayer, not my favorite show, but I still really like it. I watched all of it, like intently week to week.
I've seen it through twice. I saw it when it was coming out. I think I watched the first 6 or so episodes, and then I watched it week to week because I'd caught up. And then I watched it through again just, I don't know, a couple months back just because. Yeah. I like it a lot. It's not, it is by no stretch of the imagination a bad show. It is very good.
Yeah. This movie is just more of that with, I'm not even gonna say like better animation. It more consistently, like, yeah, you know what? Consistently throughout, it's the best that the show looked, but like for the whole movie.
Yes.
Because let me tell you, the show could look fucking unbelievably gorgeous at times. Like, holy crap, I can't believe this is part of a, like, even a seasonal TV series. But there is a lot going on here. Like, it's consistently basically top quality animation all throughout. But in terms of the story, we have...
I'll say that, you know, as a tacit recommendation, we both recommend the movie. So from this point on, we'll be talking about story. That's going to be spoilers. If you don't want any spoilers, go check it out and then come back here if you want to see if your opinions match up with ours.
I really liked... I liked the design and the characteristic of Enmu, the demon who we saw at the end of the first season, who was given Muzan's blood, who then decides, oh, I'm just going to hijack a train and start eating people. Yeah. Which, by the way, I did not catch this the first time through. He didn't even expect Tanjiro to show up there. Tanjiro just shows up there because he's eating people, and after he realizes the Hanafuda earrings, he's like, oh my god, this wasn't even planned. I didn't even plan this. Oh my god, I'm gonna eat you.
I'm going to kill the shit out of you.
Yeah. And by the way, there's something about the characters like Enmu that I can always kind of have fun with. Oh, yeah, what a beautiful dream forever, and then I'll just devour your souls. And I'm like, oh yeah, god, he's so fun.
And this is the first demon that we don't really get into their sad backstory. They just kind of fucking die.
Well, but kind of. Okay, so we don't get the backstory, but we get lamentations of him when he...
Lamentations of their demon life.
Yeah, which I find very interesting. I wasn't sure if they were going to do exactly what they did with Spider-Boy last time, which honestly was super fucking obnoxious. I'm sorry, I hate the trope of the villain telling you their backstory right before they die. It is obnoxious, it is obtrusive, it is so corny and cliche, and it does not work for me anymore.
Naruto killed that for me. Every fucking time, every fucking arc, they had to have a full 5-episode chunk dedicated to the bad guy's backstory right before he's about to eat shit.
Honestly, I would really like the backstory either woven into the plot proper or given to me early on, because I want to know what the motivations are of the villain before the fight happens. I want to know what he's fighting for. I want to know that before he dies.
I think that's why you and I both like Togashi so much, because he does that so well with his villains.
Yeah, at least like with Toguro. With Toguro, we saw his whole thing throughout the Dark Tournament. You got bits and pieces of it. While he does give you vital information in that final battle, you still have an idea of who he is. By the time we get there, that last piece sets everything in place and then puts all that picture that we've gotten, all that puzzle, perfectly in place. Whereas with shows like Naruto or especially with Demon Slayer, you don't get almost anything until that last second. You just get their actions as the villain, and then I was like, sorry, I'm not gonna go into it too much, but I do really appreciate that they didn't try to do that here.
They just let him die
with either of the villains.
Yeah. The other one I feel like you're going to get more of later, though.
Yeah. So, spoiler alert, there's a second villain.
The entire last 15 to 20 minutes that I was talking about being my favorite part, is kind of just like another villain pops up. A new challenger has entered the arena and starts fucking shit up. One of the upper 3 demons, like one of the most powerful of the most powerful demons.
Well, which I'll point out, for a movie is a little bit of a rough decision. But for a long-running manga / anime, this makes sense. Because again, you can't nor should you judge this as a movie. Because it's just not. Like,
but it's paced very well. Like, I feel like it paced itself as a movie incredibly well. I think it's fine to judge it as a movie. Well, even though it is a continuation of something else that will be continued in another form.
I will say, as a movie, it lacks a lot of setup and follow through. In terms of like, because the place where it takes off, there's no setup. There's just, they're on the train. There's no introduction to the characters, no nothing. And at the very end, it's like, well, things will continue later. That's why I feel like judging it as a movie all on its own is a mistake, because it's only representing itself as a continuation of the story that will then be picked up either by another movie or the next season. I'm not really sure. It's probably going to be a season. I can't imagine that the next arc's going to be a movie. But yeah, it's part of a whole and not its own being. So I still say judging it as a movie is almost a mistake. But either way, there's two villains, but we'll get to the second one. I could not get over how cool some of the fights were on the train. Just because the camera angles this shit pulls. Holy fuck.
Yeah, they use the space very well of that long corridor. And so we're introduced fairly early on to this demon's power, which is to be able to just put people to sleep by command.
Yep.
And they mix their blood in with the ink on the tickets, and the staff on the train are essentially enthralled to this demon because they just want to have sweet, pleasant dreams instead of the nightmares they've been being plagued with. So the demon's like, hey, yeah, just, we got a couple of demon hunters on this train. Can you go, make sure that they get put to sleep for me, and I'll make sure you have pleasant dreams. Okay, buddy, bye-bye.
Yeah, utilizing both the staff of the train and orphans.
Orphans.
Yeah.
Tuberculosis orphans, even.
Yeah, sick, unwanted children who just want to have sweet dreams before they die.
Yeah, so...
Goddamn.
It puts everybody to sleep pretty much almost instantly as soon as they, sit down and talk to each other and get, a proper introduction with Kyojuro.
Yeah, I didn't really realize this until the second time I was kind of rewatching it. Oh yeah, it happens before even the first fight begins. They're asleep.
Yep, they're in a dream. They fight a couple of demons, even before those demons show up that they kill, because they kill the demons in their dream, and then that allows their subconscious to be like, job done, and then they rest, and then they fall into a deeper level of dream. And then the orphan assassins tie themselves to them and try to kill them in their dreams.
Yeah, it's really... So I was actually reminded a lot of this is a old Taku poll, but Tenchi Forever. It was one of the old Tenchi movies, and I got severe, this really took me back to that almost instantly. The idea of being caught in a dream like that is a really, just a really genuinely cool concept. And I was surprised that they spent as much time in there as they did. And they try to wring a lot of emotional resonance out of Tanjiro's. Funny enough, Zenitsu's and Inosuke's total comedy. Especially Inosuke's. Although they bring in some subconscious stuff later, where honestly, funniest scene in the movie is Zenitsu's.
Yeah, this movie got a legit laugh out of me.
Yeah, it got a couple,
which I didn't expect.
Yeah, it got a couple of real laughs out of me. And part of it was due to some of the on-screen comedy, and part of it came down to the deliveries. But the Tanjiro's subconscious is basically, I just really, really wish I could live with my family. Which, by the way, out of all of their dreams, I feel like his was the most just genuinely heartfelt and heartbreaking.
The dreams that they gave the most substance to were his, and for reasons that would later become very obvious, Kyojuro, who basically gives his backstory in his dream, where his dad's this dude that used to be an amazing demon hunter. He was one of the Hashira at some point, but something happened to just make him not want to anymore. I'm guessing it had something to do with the death of his wife.
Yeah.
But
probably.
Yeah, so you get a lot of his backstory there. And the way these orphans are going to try to kill them is they're all tied to their prospective target with a special thread of like demon hair, I guess. I don't know. And they need to find their way to the edge of the dream and cut their way into the subconscious to go kill what is known as their spirit core. And as soon as the kid that's going to kill the Flame Hashira, Kyojiro's core, dude just stands up and does that impossible one-armed choke lift on this little orphan girl.
Oh, yeah.
He's just sitting there holding her for like 15 minutes and
yeah,
like Homer strangling, why you little...
Yeah, there was a part of me I was like, wow, how long can this little girl be strangled? I was assuming that at some point he like lets up so he doesn't like knock her out, but she is up there for a while.
Yeah, he probably lets up on the pressure, but you see the grip marks on her neck in the dream world, and she's just like, crunch! Ha!
Yeah. It's pretty intense.
Booksu is an amazing service that delivers to your door the experience of tasting authentic Japanese snacks, candies, and teas sourced directly from centuries-old small family businesses. If you subscribe now, you'll receive a monthly box of curated snacks, rewards, and more. We've never not loved the boxes we get each month from these guys, and we hope you'll enjoy them too. Your first order will be the Seasons of Japan box, but this month we're celebrating Booksu's 5th year anniversary with their birthday box. Our favorites this time around were their fried seaweed chips, their chocolate-covered potato chips, and their strawberry taiyaki. And if you enter the code Team4Star10 at checkout, you'll get 10% off your order. Thank you to Booksu and you guys for sticking around, and please enjoy the rest of the review.
By the way, I should point out this movie is rated R.
Yeah, I saw that on the tick. I'm like, why?
Yeah, no, there's literally absolutely 100%, no question, no reason for this movie to be rated R. They only did that because of the violence. There
are a couple of things I could see possibly why. First of all, the demon decapitations, maybe, I don't know. Most of the time, movies will be like, it's a monster, you know, blah, blah. But there is, the way that Tanjiro escapes his dream, I think is probably the most violent part. He takes his sword up to his neck in the dream world and kills himself over and over and over again whenever he gets sent into a dream. That's probably the reason.
Yeah, that's probably one of the bigger reasons. The fact that it basically depicts the suicide of a child over and over again. But it's generally like, if I'm gonna be honest with you, this is totally fine for a teenager. No teenager is gonna see this and be freaked out by any degree. Like, I think it's sort of ridiculous. I find it ridiculous that this show is literally made for children in Japan, and like America's like, no, it's R-rated.
The MPAA is fucking weird, man.
The MPAA, well, yeah, I agree with you there. 100%.
Their standards are weird. It really depends on who you get on what day.
Yeah, but so we get to see their dreams. Inosuke's is super funny just because I love watching him. I love that his is like a fucking cave. He's a fucking cave dweller. This fucking animal, man.
And he embodies everybody else as like an animal too, which is like, because he believes he's leading this crew of forest creatures to go on a mystic adventure through this cave to fight the giant centipede train, because everything he sees is like technology. This thing must be a monster, you know?
Yeah, I do love Tanekijiro. Oh god, I forget what Zenitsu's was. It's very close to Mouse. And then Nezu.
It's like Chunitsu or something.
Yeah, and then there's I don't know what the joke was with Bunny Nezuko. Cause Nezu is actually closer to Mouse. So But yeah,
like so you had his dream, and then you had Zenitsu's dream, which is just him frolicking around the world with Nezuko, who is not demonified. It's also kind of sweet and cute.
There's a lot going on. Although honestly, so those were fine. We we only get about one scene each in their actual subconscious.
Yeah,
Tanjiro's,
because their dreams don't really matter. Their dreams were like one-off jokes.
yeah, Tanjiro's is way more interesting. Like, it's actually
Yeah,
like
it plays into those feelings of how he lost his family and how he feels so bad. But then Nezuko on the train wakes up and starts trying to wake him up, gives him a headbutt, does a bunch of cute little noises that make you go, "Aw." And then
she's adorable.
Yeah, she's absolutely adorable. Like, that character, they struck fucking gold with Nezuko. She starts bleeding after she headbutts him, and then in the real world, he can smell her blood and is like, "Oh shit, she's in danger. I'm dreaming. Fuck!" Then he has to wake himself up.
Yep.
And he kills himself.
Yeah, and it's a pretty. I'm really happy. So there's a scene where, you know, he's already seen most of his family again, except for his father, who, you know, it would be dead regardless, and his sister Nezuko, his older sister. And when he goes out and he starts running away, he runs into her. And it's at that moment his entire family catches up with him, and he can't turn around and it's this beautiful moment where you just, like, you can see the pain on his face that if he turns around and looks at them, he might not be able to leave. So he doesn't look back, and he just keeps running forward. Then when he's alone, his father appears to him, which is a very good scene. The visuals there of him appearing behind him, it's really effective. I don't know.
He's just like, you got to get out of here. You know what you got to cut.
Yeah,
fucking do it.
Yeah, you know what you got to do. And so he cuts himself, frees himself, and then has to go fight Enmu. Which honestly, I kind of wish more of that fight could have been with Enmu. Like, they kind of, so he gets on top of the train, starts to fight Enmu. Enmu tries to keep putting him to sleep, but he's like, "Nah, I know what to do now."
Yeah, he shakes himself awake, and Enmu's like, "Oh god, he's killing himself every time I do this." I really thought, for the life of me, they did do something like this a little later, but I thought Enmu would put him in a dream where he believed he was still fighting Enmu, so he would have to try to kill himself on the train, but then he'd actually kill himself. They did play into that a little bit later, but I thought Enmu would be smart enough to maybe do that a couple of times. To, like, really fuck with him and not know when he's awake or asleep.
Unfortunately, Enmu falls prey to the exact problem a lot of these demon characters fall to, which is, whoops, I thought I was so smart and good that I didn't have to think outside the box. I had this all planned out, and then my plan went awry, and I didn't know what to do, so it all went to shit.
And of course, you end up with the immediate situation of people like Nezuko getting in danger, and since Zenitsu's unconscious, when he's unconscious is the only time that he's helpful. So, boom! He does his cool lightning thing. Flame Hashira's wrecking shit. And the thing I was most surprised by and happy with was the final conflict was not just Tanjiro or, like, you know, Flame Hashira showing up and fixing shit, but it was Tanjiro and Inosuke working together to win. And in a very creative way, because the demon eventually starts popping up these eyes with messages on them. But since Inosuke has the mask on, it couldn't get a good glimpse on, like, okay, where is this guy actually looking? I can't figure out how to get to him. Shit.
Which is, oh man, Inosuke is the MVP. Like, okay, besides Rengoku, Inosuke is the MVP in this film. He's so much fun. He actually helps all the way throughout. One of my favorite, oh my god, the fact that his relationship with Tanjiro, when Tanjiro, like, oh god, what does he say? He gives him a good idea, and
you know something? That's not half bad.
Yeah, it's or the other one where he suggests, like, "Hey, don't boss me around. I'm sorry. What do you want to do?" like fucking. Our boy Tanjiro knows exactly how to talk to Inosuke. He's, I love that. I love how Tanjiro gives up on, like, all right, I know that the only way we're gonna work together is if I talk to him the way he wants to be talked to. And it's so cool to actually see shake out, especially as they fight together to take down Enmu. It's a really cool scene. There's a lot of visual flair there.
A lot of creative synergy too.
Yeah. And they together, along with Rengoku, take down the train. It's It's well done. Oh, also Tanjiro gets stabbed by the conductor because the conductor's like, no, I need my dream. Give me my dream.
I want to sleep. Let me sleep. He just shanks him with an ice pick. It's just it literally looks like a prison shiv. Like there's this like block of wood with like tape around it and like a screwdriver piece sticking out.
Yeah, I'm not even sure what exactly that was supposed to be, but it was the tool that
everybody had him.
Yeah. But stabs. I will also say this. I feel like Tanjiro has suffered worse wounds and come back from it. I think it would be like he just got a specific artery that was like.
Also, aren't those like clothing aren't the suits they're supposed to be wearing supposed to be like stab and slash resistant? But this thing just whoop.
Maybe, yeah. I don't know.
Like a normal dude. Either way, it was to eventually teach him that, hey, if you concentrate enough, you can stop your bleeding, little bitch.
Which obviously is not real, but don't talk about any of the breathing techniques in this like they actually have any basis in reality.
So yeah, surprise third act to the movie after the train is taken out, though.
Oh yeah, so train gets taken out as like, well, that was eventful, I guess.
The movie at this point already felt pretty like thick with content, so I'm like, okay, so we'll hit into the epilogue here, and they'll walk off into the sunset. Nope, new big bad Mama Jamma shows up out of nowhere, who looks oddly like Sukuna from Jujutsu Kaisen was my first thought.
Oh yeah, a little bit, yeah,
a little with the tattoo patterns and the hair color, and introduces the concept of all of the upper echelon demons that work under Muzan.
Well, not necessarily the concept, but you get to see a little bit of them. Like,
yeah,
because
you get to see that one of them is a big titty demon MILF. So
I gotta point out, it was really funny to me that that Muzan literally kills the lower four, like the rest of the lower five except for Enmu.
Look, we gotta speed this story along. You guys are jobbers now. Bye.
Yeah, like after Spider-Boy was taken out, he's like, okay, you guys are literally useless. I have no reason to keep any of you around. And the only reason Enmu lives is because Enmu does exactly what he wants. He wants, like, he's like, if I'm to die by your hands, then that is all the better. Like, whatever you need from me is what I want to give you. If my death will do that, then take me. And then Muzan's like, that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a guy who is getting off on the idea of me killing him. Perfect. So grabs Enmu, and I found it really funny that we don't even get to see the lower five. Fuck them. Doesn't matter. Like, yeah. So we just get to see the lower five
power scaling has just moved too far. Look, we have to get onto the things that are stronger.
It moves so fast that an entire half of the villains were just wiped out. Like, nope, you're obviously not relevant to the story.
2 seasons of a normal anime are gone.
Yeah, which I gotta say, hell of a move.
Yeah.
Power move, really. That's a power move. And watching Enmu come in and fail due to the power of all one Hashira and 3 members of the Demon Corps. Yeah, that sounds about right for one of these guys. And then Upper 3 shows up, and you realize just how fucking out of his depth Enmu actually was.
Yeah, when this guy shows up, and you're treated to probably the best fight in the show/movie.
Oh, by the way, it's the Upper 6 and Lower 6. Sorry, there are 12 of them. Apologies.
Yeah. Either way.
Yeah.
You get this guy who shows up, and Kyojuro and him fight. And as soon as this started, I'm like, I know exactly where this is going. I know what is going to happen by the end of this. I'm not going to be surprised. This is to show how, this is the Kage fight. This is, showing where this power scaling is going, so we'll see the heights that Tanjiro has to reach.
I was actually a little surprised because I was truly not expecting him to survive. I was fully expecting that.
You weren't expecting number 3 to survive? You thought it was going to be mutually assured destruction?
Yes, I thought it was going to take all of their efforts to take him down, and it almost was. It was this close to them actually beating him, but unfortunately...
there was a part of me that thought, okay, maybe the sun will take him out, but narratively speaking, that guy's going to have to fight Tanjiro at some point, or Tanjiro's going to have to fight that guy at some point, because he's scaled himself as somebody that's going to have to fight, Tanjiro, when Tanjiro masters all of the Hashira bullshit.
Yeah. It was... Oh, man. This fight, I wasn't expecting a punchy guy. I wasn't expecting martial arts dude, because the show hasn't had a whole lot of martial arts characters. It's all been swordplay or like webs and
special
shit.
demon powers. You
Yeah,
know.
special demon powers and shit like that. And no, this guy comes up and he's like, "All right, motherfuckers, let's go."
Yeah,
Come
this
on.
guy, he can punch. He can send his punches through the air, and he can regenerate. That's all he really shows that he can do. And it's a really fucking cool fight.
Yeah, it's really good. It's also there's the one of the things that I do love is when the breathing users combo their techniques and do strings of them, because it's really cool to watch him defend with them, attack with them. Like he's got one that's almost entirely defensive, which is the one he uses to, I think it's number 3 or 4 where he blocks the air punches with air current. Like from his sword, which was really fucking cool. And then he has a tiger one, which, like, I'm sorry, that was
Of course.
fucking badass. It did remind me a lot of Guy Sensei.
A bit.
And yeah, so a lot of people have been pointing this out. The music in this section. Okay, the music, I'm gonna be really honest with you, actually. The music throughout most of this movie, I did not care about. But the music in this segment is off the fucking chain. Holy shit. Like, it is so good.
Music throughout a majority of this movie reminded me very much of, like, Nier. Like Nier Automata in a lot of ways. It has a lot of that kind of, like, thing going on.
Yeah.
But then this scene is like, yeah, fuck, let's go.
Yeah, it goes hard. And I wasn't expecting it because, again, like, there were parts of the movie where the music actually took me out. I was like, okay, this is a little over the top. And then I found out later it was kind of supposed to be, so all right, fine.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, everything hit here. Everything hit 100%. This fight is amazing. And yeah, I'm really, really glad that Rengoku's final fight, like, was treated with this much care and this much love. Which, by the way, Rengoku, a character that I initially hated, very quickly climbed up my list of characters in this series that I really liked.
And then he's gone.
And then he's gone.
And there he goes.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
Which,
had a great send off though. He did exactly what he was supposed to do, like narratively speaking, which was, like I said, to show the heights that Tanjiro has yet to reach, so that he can one day surmount them and beat the foes that even this guy, the top of the Hashira, could not beat.
So I will say, a lot of the film, some parts of it, it got me emotionally here and there. Generally, it did not hit a lot of emotional beats for me.
Not particularly.
But I will say this: the whole, like, the last segment of the movie after Rengoku goes down, like, I think it actually hit every beat it wanted to hit with me, especially when Tanjiro is screaming at the demon as he's running away and calling him a coward.
Which I think that was some of the strongest acting in the dub that we had seen in the movie. We're like also in these scenes, and when he's just yelling at the demon for, "You're a coward! We fight you in the dark when you have the advantage! You think you're stronger? He's stronger than you'll ever be!"
Yeah, he's like, he saved everyone. We didn't lose. You lost.
Yeah,
your job was to kill all those people, and you fucking failed. Go fuck you. And I was like,
they did not lose a single human, like, civilian life throughout that entire massive train crash.
yeah. And I really liked that. I really, really liked that.
Very powerful.
Yeah, and because there's something about that, about like that like Tanjiro commenting on the fact that they're always at the disadvantage, and yet they're the ones, like, when they lose a limb, it's gone. They don't have that advantage. They're weaker. So when they win, it's because they tried harder, and they won that day. And that just fucking, that hit me. That hit. That was fucking good.
It's strong, and that's where I think this entire series like hits the nail right on the head pretty much every time. It's emotional theming, and the adversity against a dark evil power. They hit that very well every time they try to strike that.
I will say this. So I know that this is sort of an issue that comes from manga in general, where there's a lot of dialogue. There's just generally a lot of dialogue because when it comes to communicating action, you kind of need accompanying dialogue to help really sell what's going on or sell emotional resonance, to sell these, like, to give a better idea of the emotions going on in a scene, to really nail it, send it home. There were times here where I wish less had been said and more had been shown, especially in that final scene where he sees his mom. I'm like, it's such a good shot. Don't talk. You don't need to talk. Like, and it is a really gorgeous scene. Like, oh my god, the scene that when he sees his mother, it is fucking beautiful. But yeah, so really emotional, an emotional send off for Rengoku, an amazing ending, amazing fight scenes. I genuinely did enjoy myself in this movie.
Yeah, when you told me that this movie was the #1 grossing anime movie of all time, especially given the year that it came out, that shocked me. After watching it and knowing that Demon Slayer, that still, like, I don't quite understand, is so immensely popular, I get it now. This movie is probably one of the better anime movies I have seen that is associated with a show.
I will say this. This movie is not highest grossing anime of all time worthy. I'm just gonna say that flat out. Now, that's
whether or not it's worthy of it, it did it.
Yeah, well, and you know, that's kind of like the phrase overrated. A phrase I hate. I do not like the phrase overrated because I think it gets used a lot by people who don't know what they're talking about. And just the term all on its own is sort of a fallacy. But I will say, this movie made more money than Spirited Away, than Your Name, than Yu-Gi-Oh! Pyramid of Light? I don't think so.
Yeah, man, not Yu-Gi-Oh! Pyramid of Life. Excuse me, Pokemon Mewtwo Strikes Back has a thing to say.
No, but honestly, I did genuinely, like, I enjoyed it, but it is a little weird to see, like, wow, okay, so this is the highest grossing anime film ever now. Well, I mean, when it's the only thing to watch in theaters, I guess that's what you do.
Yeah. Although, there's something to be said about people going out to theaters when it came out in theaters.
Well, remember, Japan had that shit way more under control. They've had spikes, but nowhere
that's not
near.
That's not necessarily what I've heard from some people that I know that know people who live in Japan.
Really?
But, yeah.
Okay, well, you know what? We only have the numbers to go off of.
Yep.
Like, I've only had the numbers to go off of. I can't speak day to day for people living in Japan. All I can say is the numbers have not shaken out to be nearly as bad as.
So what you're saying is the numbers don't lie.
Oh my God.
This has been a Scott Steiner impression by Lanny Pator. You are welcome, internet.
I'm really angry that I get that reference. I blame you.
You should.
But yeah, it's like. And when I say that it doesn't deserve to be the highest grossing anime film of all time, I'm only saying that in terms of, like, would I compare this to greats like a lot of the Miyazaki stuff or even Makoto Shinkai's Magnum Opus Your Name? No, I wouldn't.
No.
But that being said, it's not like I think people are wrong to go see this movie and enjoy it at any number, at any volume. So if you it's a good movie.
I'd say comparing this to Ghibli stuff is kind of the same as comparing an Oscar bait movie to a Marvel movie.
Yeah, no, that's also, like, I was thinking Transformers, but you know what? Yeah, this is actually closer to Marvel. You're right. This is like bitching that a Marvel movie is the highest grossing film of all time. Good fucking point. So, although, man, I'll tell you what, ever since Endgame, my opinion on the MCU has leveled out, let's say.
Endgame was a big climax to, like,
and I did in theaters, let me tell you that.
Yeah, no, like, that what they did was amazing, but they're going to have a massive mountain to climb if they want any more success the way they've been, but that's a completely different discussion.
Yeah. This was a fun movie. I'm glad that I got to see it both subbed and dubbed. And I'm glad that I was vaxxed enough to go see it in theaters. An empty theater. So literally it was just Nick and myself and like two people all the way in the back behind us. So yeah, we were fine. We took precautions.
I don't miss movie theaters, specifically like the AMC Cineplex style theaters. I do miss the Alamo Drafthouse though, and I'm looking forward to being able to go back to that.
Coming back in June, maybe.
I know, I'm excited.
I
especially-
got a bunch of really sad tweets from people like, mine closed down forever.
Oh.
I know. That is heartbreaking. I was like, oh, I'm so sorry.
Luckily, even if the one that's closest to us closed down, there are a lot of them around here. Like, within like 20 minutes drive.
There are too many. Like, I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, I could not believe we had one, and then suddenly they're like, by the way, we're opening 5 more in the Dallas Metroplex.
Man,
5
Alamo
more.
Drafthouse is a Texas chain. Of course they're gonna open them in Texas.
It's just fucking weird, though. Like, but I get it. Like, trying to get down around the city, like, oh, if you want to go to the one in Irving, or the one in Fort Worth, or the one in Plano, yeah, they're all equal, like, 30, 45 minutes distance from each other. So, yeah, I guess with a Metroplex that big, it's like, no, we need to put these everywhere.
And
but it's
a good
still
theater
weird.
chain. And it's a good theater chain.
It's
so
good. It's real good.
I'm looking forward to getting back to it. Even though the one that we usually go to is probably not the best Alamo, it's our Alamo.
It's not. You're right. It's not the best Alamo, but yes, it is in fact our fucking Alamo.
I remember it.
Hey, I can't forget.
What do you guys think of Demon Slayer Mugen Train? Let us know in the comments if you're watching this on YouTube, and for those of you that joined us live for this very impromptu discussion on Mugen Train, we'll chat more with you after we cut this off. But yeah.
Yep. So thank you all so much. Have a wonderful day, and we'll see you next podcast.
Eventually.
Yep.
Yeah.